The International Court of Justice is set to hand out its landmark ruling in the genocide case that has been brought against Israel. Now, in the interim ruling, judges will decide on South Africa's request for emergency measures against Israel. This ruling will not deal with the core accusation of the case, whether or not genocide has occurred, but will focus on the urgent intervention sought by South Africa. The urged measures include an immediate halt to Israel's military operation, which has killed more than 25,000 people so far. Now, according to Gaza health authorities, that is, Hamas has said that if the court issues a ruling calling for a ceasefire in Gaza, they will abide by it and release all Israeli hostages in Gaza, but only if Israel releases all Palestinian prisoners.
First, if the court in The Hague issues a ruling to ceasefire, the Hamas movement will abide by the ceasefire as long as the enemy abides by it. Second, the movement will release the Zionist prisoners detained by it if the occupying state releases all the Palestinian prisoners detained by it.
Now, this comes as families of hostages continue to step up pressure on Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Supporters and relatives of hostages stage yet another protest in Tel Aviv, blocking a highway in calls for their release. The protest took place outside Israel's military headquarters, the Kiryat.
My message to the government is this should have been resolved 2 months ago. My brother should have been home 2 months ago. Everyone should have been home 2 months ago. It's time for a deal. They need to be home alive.
Protesters also gathered in front of Israel's Minister of Environmental Protection, Edith Silman's house. Calls were raised against the minister after the arrest of a protester the day before. The woman was detained for allegedly slapping the minister in the city of Rehovot. Protesters said the arrest was unjustified. Meanwhile, the Israeli ministry has released more footage of combat troops operating in Gaza's Khan Yunis area. The IDF said its forces have expanded their fighting and are now operating in Al-Amal neighborhood. It added that the troops were there to encounter terrorists and eliminate them, raid terrorist infrastructures, and locate and destroy weapons. For more details, our correspondent Kalden Ongmu has sent us this report from Johannesburg. Listen in.
Just a few hours left until International Court of Justice makes its ruling on temporary measures sought by South Africa against Israel. Minister of International Relations and Corporations, Dr. Naledi Pandor, before leaving for Hague, said that Palestine issue is front and center of the world, and that is an important achievement through this case. She said South Africa is hopeful and have always approached this case in a positive spirit. However, the core purpose was to highlight the plight of the innocent in Palestine and also to alert the international community to the great harm that is being done to the people of Palestine, public institution and general order in that area. There are 9 temporary measures that South Africa has sought, but the most important one is to ask Israel to halt all military operations in and against Gaza. Ruling is expected to take place at 2 p.m. South African time. This is Kalden Ongmu from Johannesburg, South Africa for WION World is One.